What is up? These are 7 habits that I personally practice that help me cultivate a peace of mind. And I feel like these are like really practical habits anyone can really take in. And some of them are only like a couple minutes to do or just a mindset shift. So, first one is working with Palo Santo. And I love working with Palo Santo because it not only like cleanses your energetic field, but also brings this sort of positive and uplifting vibe. Like, I'm not just saying this either, like, just try it out and just notice how different you actually feel after working with it. Like, it is actually so powerful. And so, when you light the Palo Santo too, this isn't a thing where you're just gonna hold it in your hand and be like, like wave it all around. Hold it in your hand, other hand waves it down. So you have the Palo Santo. If you're doing like your leg or something with your other hand, you'll wave it down to the like earth or the floor of your room or whatever. And so that ultimately kind of just gets the old energy off of you. Because you'd actually be so surprised how much other people's energy affects you. Like, even if you like are at the mall or at a fair or something, I always work with Palo Santo or Sage after being around like a lot of people, even at concerts, because it's just like a lot of people's energy. Like, you're in a lot of people's auras. I'll just put it that way. And you'd be surprised how much other people's energy actually affects you, and that how many of your problems are not even your problems. It's other people's problems. But you've just been around those people for so long that you've like adopted their problems as yours. So, that's so interesting. But the second thing I would say is doing this one breath work exercise. It's called alternate nostril breathing. So, with your dominant hand, you'll place your thumb on your nostril and then breathing in, starting on the left side always. And then with your ring finger, plugging the left nostril and then breathing out of the right. Breathing into the right. And then thumb on the right, switching sides. So you ultimately exhale and then inhale through the same, switch it out. And so this basically balances both sides of your brain. Like, you actually feel so much more balanced after you do this, sometimes even after like a couple of minutes. And ultimately, when you have more clarity, it's just easier to move through life because you know what you should be doing, you know what to do, you're not clouded by all this like confusion and like heavy energies, if that makes sense. And basically, I love doing this breath work because it also helps balance the yin and yang energies within your body. So, the masculine and feminine energies, especially if you feel like you're someone that's like, I'm always on the go, I'm always busy, I am always doing things. It's like you're so much in that masculine energy. Or maybe you're the exact opposite, where it's like you're not doing that much stuff, like you're always just like surrendering, but you're not really putting in any like real work or action towards your goals or like the steps that are being shown to you in your manifestation. And so this can really help with that. Third thing is having some sort of movement practice. I do some sort of movement practice every day. I don't put a time limit on it because my work priorities are usually kind of different or my schedule's different. So I'm not going to put like, oh, I'm going to do 30 minutes every morning, because if I have something going on in the morning, then I can't do 30 minutes and then I don't even do it because I don't have enough time. And so that was my excuse. So at least every single morning I do something. And sometimes that might just be like dancing to a song or doing some sort of yoga practice. Sometimes it's just me rolling around on my mat or just doing a couple of poses for longer periods of time. Working out, going to a boxing class, a Pilates class. I'm on ClassPass. I love ClassPass. This is not sponsored, by the way. This is my real unpaid opinion. But I do something like that every single day. It just depends on my energy level. And that's what I love about, I don't put a time frame on it and I don't put an activity attached to it, because if I'm feeling like, if I wake up and I'm like, I feel so tired this morning. I always do this in the morning, by the way. Then I'll do a slower practice. If I wake up and I just feel like I have so much energy, maybe I'll go to an intense class or go do a workout. And it's not that I allow my emotions to dictate to how I feel, I mean, to what I do, but like there'll be some days I have dedicated to working out, and it either happens in the morning or it happens in the afternoon when I have more energy. And so I just find that doing some sort of movement right when you get out of bed just really helps. A lot of people I notice, like, they get out of bed, they need their coffee because they don't have any energy. Like, think about it. Your body was just laying in your bed for like 8 or 9 hours, like the energy is not moving through your body. And when you can get the energy to move through your body, even if it's just for a couple of minutes of doing something in the morning, you'll actually be so surprised how much more energized you feel. And then when you feel more energized, you're able to do more things. And you don't need coffee as soon as you roll out of bed because you're so groggy or stagnant or tired. Just do some movement. Literally. Literally just do some movement. And that also helps like the quality of your mind too, because the more of the dynamic movement that we can do, it cultivates more stillness in our mind. And so if you are going to do a meditation practice some point during your day, I would highly suggest doing it after the movement, because your mind is already in the still place and then you're actually able to sit down and you're comfortable. That's like a lot of people's problem when it comes to manifestation. I mean, meditation is that they are in a seat and they're like, I'm not comfortable. And then they can't stay there as long because they're not comfortable because you didn't stretch. You didn't move at all. You just, you know what I mean? So that can also be a really great tip if you do want to start meditating. Do it after something physical. Third thing, or I don't even, fourth thing I think we're on now is sugar balance. Now, you'd actually be surprised that this actually plays a really big role in the peace of your mind. And I know because I've been there. So, when you are always having all of these sugar spikes throughout the day, or maybe it's just right away in the morning, you have a coffee, you put your vanilla syrup, you put your honey in it. Especially sugar with caffeine on an empty stomach is terrible. At first, you're going to have this huge spike of feeling like a lot of energy and you're going to be so motivated. And then, like a couple hours later, you feel like going back to sleep at like 10 a.m. And so, even having this in the middle of the day and not eating for a while after you have sugar, like let's just say that you have your first meal and then you might have some sort of sugar after that. But if you wait for an extended period of time, like 6 hours after you eat or over that, you start to get like really irritated, really frustrated, and then you also want more sugar because your brain is like, I'm tired. You know what I mean? Or just having sugar in the middle of the day. Like if you eat your first meal and then a couple hours later you have something sugary and then like you wait more time to actually eat, it's like then that's even more of a crazy spike. So I'm just mentioning this because when you have those like crazy spikes, it's just like you feel good in the moment for like, I don't know, maybe an hour or something. And then all of a sudden you start to get really irritated, really frustrated. And ultimately, sugar, we all know, leads to inflammation and stuff like that. But it not only leads to inflammation in your body, but also in your mind. Like all of a sudden, you have like road rage. All of a sudden, you have less patience. And it's because, especially mixed with caffeine, especially because caffeine will decrease your appetite. So even though your body like might actually be hungry, you're not getting those hormones released that are telling your brain that you're hungry, and so you don't feel like you're hungry, but it's been 6 hours since you ate last, but you don't really feel the like appetite to eat, and you just feel irritated and like ugh, like tense and like constricted, impatient, frustrated. And that, I mean, that just affects the quality of your life. So if you're going to have sugar, this is what I would recommend. You either have it right after a workout, and I mean weightlifting, and it should be like a Powerade or Gatorade. And I don't mean a donut, like something that can get into your bloodstream fast. I mean, this is just how to grow muscles, basically. There's like a whole process to that. I would only have it after a workout because your body's going to burn it the fastest. The sugar is going to go to your muscles. Or you have it after you eat. That is the only time. The only time. Don't have it in like the middle of meals. Like if you ate a couple hours later, then you have it again, and then you wait another couple hours, you will always be spiking your insulin. And that's also not good for you. So, next thing is having a planner. So many people waste so much time throughout their day because they don't actually know what to prioritize. They don't actually know what to do. They miss the meetings, they miss the interviews, they miss the auditions because they don't have a planner. They don't have something out in front of them every single day that tells them, I need to be here at this time. I'm going to do this today. Even just having an idea would help of what you're going to do that day, but I will always have everything in my planner for things that I need to be somewhere at a specific time with someone else, because I don't want to miss that, and I don't want the other person to view me as unprofessional or as a flake if it's a friend, whatever, because I forgot that I totally had that going on, which happens all the time if I don't write it down. So a lot of people, it's like they don't know what to do. Like they wake up, it's like, yeah, you might have this really big goal or this thing that you want to work on, but you don't actually know what you should be doing. I guess you just have like all these ideas that you're like procrastinating on. Like you're like, yeah, maybe I could do that. Yeah, maybe I could do that. Write it down. Have a day where you do that for a couple of hours if you can. And that will just break any confusion and basically just give you a lot of clarity. So, having a planner really helps, having a plan, a schedule, something at least. And trust me, I know I was the type of person that I was like, I avoided structure because I felt like if I had more structure, that meant less freedom. But I feel like it actually is the exact opposite. Because when I look back at my life and I had no structure, I had like no plans in my planner, if you will, no schedule. It was like, yeah, I had a lot of freedom, but I wasn't really getting things done on a consistent basis. And so I wasn't really actually making a lot of progress to the things I say I wanted, to the dreams I say I had, because I didn't have any structure of actually getting there and any like plan or idea that I knew I should be doing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, if I feel motivated to do it, I'll just do it. But the motivation always runs out. And then it's like you're not consistent. And then it's like it goes nowhere. And then you feel the motivation again and you restart doing it again. And you're just in this like constant loop of like getting nowhere. So that's why you need a planner. You just need a schedule and you need to stick with the things that you say that you want. Write it down if you need to, because I swear if you write it down, if you make it like a to do, a checklist sort of idea, you will be more motivated to get it done, to check it off for yourself, especially if you're doing this with like a workout buddy or like some kind of person that's working with you. Anyways, next thing is journaling. Okay, I don't journal every day. I used to, and it really did help as someone that I felt like in the past I was very much like an anxious avoider, if that makes sense. Um, and so just writing down your thoughts or just reflecting on your day, reflecting on how you felt can really help, especially before you go to bed. Sometimes if I don't feel like writing because I'm just like I don't feel like sitting and like my pen's moving too slow than my thoughts, I'll just talk to myself out loud or just like talk to myself in the mirror. I know that sounds like a little maybe like a little crazy, but it really does help to just get your thoughts out because it seems like at least for me like my thoughts will like circulate, especially if something like really did bother me or made me feel some type of way, or I felt like someone overstepped my boundary or I felt disrespected or whatever. Just getting those thoughts on paper or just out of your head, you're able to see them a lot clearer, and it just helps get all of this like stuff out really, and just leaves you like feeling a lot more clarity and like a lot more, I guess, present, less out of, like less in your head. I think that's the best way I can say it. Anyways, the next thing, I believe this is number 7. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything, but I really don't think I did. Um is integrating life. And I don't hear hardly any people talking about this as a habit. This is especially key if you're the person that's always busy. You never have time for yourself. You avoid how you actually feel about things. And just having some time throughout your day, like, again, it doesn't have to be an hour. It just needs to be time where you can be by yourself And you don't necessarily have to do anything. You can just kind of sit with like how you feel. And you can also do journaling, I guess, in this, but I just like to like kind of just chill out. Like sometimes I like to just go sit outside or just go on a forest walk by myself, but it just really helps me to integrate life because throughout our day we're having like so many experiences, so many interactions with other people. We're learning so many things or we're learning what we don't like, and just having time to sort of integrate all of that stuff because we're taking in so much stuff, and just having like a moment to just be like, okay, this is how I really felt about this situation, or having some time to just sit with like your thoughts and your emotions really. And I didn't really know how impactful this actually was until I went on a retreat, and it was very much like a medicine healing retreat sort of vibe. And so we had times throughout the day where it was like no talking times. I forgot what she called it. But it was like there were certain times throughout the day that we weren't allowed to talk to each other, and so it just really helped us to integrate our experience there because it was like a lot of healing work, it was a lot of deep work. And so especially when you're like having like a healing season of your life, I guess, or you just feel like you're dealing with a lot of heavy emotions are coming up, this can be like so good because a lot of us just want to avoid how we feel. Like we don't want to look at things. We don't want to really sit with how we feel because it's uncomfortable or it's painful, but it is so necessary because until you do, it's always just going to be in the background. It's always just going to be that heaviness in your stomach or that anxiousness or that smallness that you feel around people or situations. And until you really look at that, it's like you avoid yourself. It's like you're running away from those things. And so when you actually take time to integrate life, you ultimately like deepen this relationship that you have with yourself, and you're able to sort of alchemize those unconscious feelings or thoughts or those heavy things into something that can benefit you, into a lesson, into something you can reflect on and change. And it's almost like just having time to simply just be with yourself, really. That's really what I would describe it as. So, try out some of these habits and let me know how they go for you. Also, comment below any habits that you feel that create a peace of mind in your life too, because I would love to know them. And I'm sure other people will too in the comments that are looking to cultivate more peace of mind and whatnot. I think one of the obvious ones is like meditation, but I think a lot of people know that, but they don't want to do it because they don't really understand meditation or it's just too hard. Because yeah, we all know, yeah, that ultimately would lead to a peace of mind and clarity, right? But I might make another video about that. Anyways, I hope this video helps you cultivate a peace of mind, a more clarity, creativity, and just living your best life.